right. Hope everybody's well. Welcome back to the Onyx Report's Black Masculinist News for the day. Apologize, it's been a couple of days since I last posted. Trying to get back into my daily routine, but it is finals week. So right about now, doing a whole lot of giving tests, grading, so on and so forth. Students are haggling for grades, trying to graduate. You know the deal. So it is what it is. Get that out the way. So I do apologize for that. Nevertheless, thought I saw a piece that would be of interest to a number of you. It definitely has national implications. This is coming out of Georgia. You can find this article on sports.yahoo.com entitled New Georgia Law Legalizing College Athlete Endorsements Also Allows Schools to Take Athletes' Money. Interesting. This came out on May 6th, so it's fairly recent. Let's see. And it, hold on. Let me, so screen here. There we go. This is particularly interesting as it pertains to black male athletes, right? Many of whom, and I've worked with, I've been teaching now at the university level for 23 years. So I've worked with quite a few athletes in a variety of different sports. One of the things that I noticed, of course, is that many of the athletes themselves, especially the black male ones, were quite poor. Much of the time they were the first in their families to go to college. They were, many were not really academically prepared, but they offered a lot to the university in terms of athletics. And of course, universities made quite a bit of money off their presence and performance. This is a precarious kind of role to be in because, tripping down the hallway in the wrong way or falling down a flight of stairs could end their entire career. You know what I mean? So they were always under threat of losing everything before they even got it. That's not even counting the kind of predatory experiences that many of them had with people who wanted to, glean off them much as possible. You had potential agents. You even had women who were looking to get pregnant. You had all kinds of things that many of these athletes had to navigate. One of the most difficult things that athletes have had to grapple with in the university system is not being able to sustain themselves. They know they're bringing millions into the university, but they themselves were often struggling. So recently, in the last few years, we've been hearing about these debates about whether or not they should get paid. So this is coming out of Georgia Reads. College athletes in Georgia are now allowed to collect endorsements and sponsorships, and their schools can take a significant cut of that money if they want. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, Republican, signed the state's new bill regulating athletes' name, image, and likeness rights on Thursday. Kemp held his signing ceremony at the University of Georgia with a bulldog backdrop in the athletic department's recruiting lounge. Symbolism was meant to be obvious for a law ostensibly designed to let athletes profit off their own image rights starting on July 1st. Here, I'm going to move this over here so I can see it more clearly. Apologize about that. There we go. But there's a provision in the law that allows colleges to have significant control over athletes' endorsement money. The bill that Kemp signed into law allows schools across the state to take up to 75% of an athlete's endorsement income. That cut would be deposited into a pool for all athletes at the school and then redistributed upon athletes' graduation. Now let's look at that. Let me see if I can size this up for you guys. Not sure if that'll help, but depending on the size of your screen, you can see it, right? So you can see a couple of portions that are highlighted there. Highlight the 75%, and then even toward the bottom, some of the things in terms of how the pools work. So you can screenshot that and look at it more closely if you so choose. But it continues. How would that provision work? If the University of Georgia decided to implement the provision and take 70% of each athlete's endorsement to redistribute, a player like JT Daniels would only make $30,000 on a $100,000 endorsement agreement. The provision in the bill is restrictive and gives schools the right to have far too much control over an athlete's money. It's fair to wonder just how many schools across the state will decide to exercise their rights to pool players' monies. Pool players' money. Excuse me. I hate getting shit wrong like that. Anyway, a school like Georgia and Georgia Tech exercising its right to take a cut of endorsement money will immediately prove to be a disadvantage in recruiting. Schools in other states recruiting the same football and basketball players can simply tell an athlete that he or she will be able to keep all of their endorsement money. And that's a pretty persuasive argument. Georgia is now one of many states that have moved ahead with a law allowing college students to get endorsements, in contrast with longstanding NCAA rules. The NCAA has asked the federal government to provide a nationwide framework for athletes' endorsements, though no federal law governing athletes' image rights is imminent. The NCAA wants a federal law in lieu of myriad state laws that it would have to navigate. Those state laws have popped up because of the NCAA's continued procrastination regarding athlete endorsements. While the NCAA has said that it wants to modernize its current rules, it hasn't offered much in the way of specifics, and it delayed the January vote on NIL changes. Right? So what we're seeing here is, after this long-standing argument, aside from the fact that the NCAA is stalling, long-standing argument about the college athletes getting paid, we can see a very exploitive move on behalf of universities to push to a way to take 2/3 of the income for themselves, which I'm not sure is. I mean, it's not any less exploitive than what's already been going on. They've already been profiting off these athletes altogether. To do so to this degree is ridiculous. I mean, at the very least, if the NCAA or the federal government, really the federal government, if it's not going to step in and regulate this on a nationwide scale, then increasing state competition might not be bad, especially for athletes, because it simply means that another factor, aside from the status of the team, the winning record, all those kind of facets, another status would be another competitive point that schools could offer, would be how much of an endorsement students can keep, student athletes. And that would be a powerful kind of situation. It would provide a lot of leveraging power for these athletes and give them an opportunity to come in and compete in a different way and force institutions to compete. But the easiest way, of course, would be for the federal government to step in and try and regulate it in some fashion. But this 70-30 dynamic or 75-25 dynamic is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the exploitation of students, student athletes, it really needs to stop, especially on this kind of scale. But it isn't alien. It's not like we've not seen it before in a variety of different ways and at different levels. I mean, I'm not going to say the NBA isn't exploitive, but it's simply to say, or the NFL for that matter, but it's simply to say that we need to be able to take steps toward a direction where especially black male athletes have leverage to, be able to even provide for their own families to some extent while in college. And that's the thing. I can't tell you how many college athletes I worked with who, for one reason or another, were not really able to trade off their talent in a way that benefited their family. And you got to figure, if you start balling in middle school, most of these guys start in elementary, right? But they have to wait until they're 21 and up before they really can leverage this in any kind of way. It's a long time for anything to happen. Slight injury, all kind of things. I mean, they have to navigate a minefield to get to the point where they can finally, provide for their families. And that's a problem. So, this is, just a quick hit. There's so many other dimensions to this to be discussed, and I'm not at all suggesting that this video is exhaustive on the topic. But I thought I came across this article and I thought, you know what, this would be good to at least put up and have, as is the practice of all of these daily videos, just to put at the forefront of your mind and give you something to chew on, come to your own conclusions about as far as the justness, if you will, of this issue and how it pertains to black male athletes. You guys know I'm a very big proponent of black males, especially in terms of higher education. And when you figure, I've said this many times, in the largest university system in the country, 70% of black males drop out their first year. Something like this has an impact in and of itself. Much of the time these days, I'm sorry to say, the majority of my black male students tend to be more athletes than anything else. And that's mainly because they have a support structure that's in place that non-athletic black male students don't have. So it's already difficult for many of these men to actually get into schools, but sustaining themselves while there is a whole different issue. So if I have to see a drop in black male students and then a drop in black male athlete students, that's a problem across the board. So anyway, hope you guys are well. If you have any thoughts about this, I'm not a big sports aficionado, so feel free to drop in some information that I haven't covered. that complicate this issue or add to it. It would be much appreciated. And I wish you guys well. Have a good one. Peace.